Summer, thank you for hanging out with us. How are you?
I am doing so well. How are you?
I'm amazing. I had the great pleasure of spending time hanging out with and doing some work with you, and it was um, life changing in the pivots that were able to be, first of all, pointed out and made. And so I wanted to bring the gift of you to all of my amazing lovelies because, when you trace the root back of the impact that is actually procured, some people are able to really put a key in the lock for so many others, and you are that person. So thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That's really sweet.
Um, I'm wondering if we can start with you telling everybody who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Yeah, okay. So I'm Summer Slevin. I created a company called The Time Rich, which originally helped people find and utilize a virtual assistant and now has shifted into helping people with integration. So visionaries who have online courses, classes, or membership sites or masterminds, they will utilize an integrator to figure out the who and the how to their what and why. And so I come in and I work one-on-one with different visionaries to help them create like the foundational integration stuff to help them simplify in order to scale. So we eliminate and solve a lot of different bottlenecks in their business that vary from, project management software, how they communicate with their team, or how they store and document and organize their files, to like what gaps are missing from their membership, maybe a renewal sequence or failed payments or different things that are pretty big bottlenecks in their business. Even just creating a focus filter so they stop saying yes to things that are distracting them from the main thing. So I kind of come in and help them do that. And then as I've been doing this on a part-time basis with, on a freelance basis with several different entrepreneurs, I've realized that the need is like way beyond just this one-on-one thing that I can provide. And I'm thinking that I'm also in the process of kind of creating an agency, maybe where these people can use the time-rich methods that I've created over the last 12 years of helping entrepreneurs and really execute things for visionaries. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. That's kind of where I am. And that's who I serve.
Amazing. I remember the first time I heard the term integrator. I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what that is. However, I will roll the tape back. So I was at a conference probably about 10 years ago, and it was put on by this incredibly inspirational guy, and he was talking about how, if you have something, or a passion, a passion in your life, something that you like to do, that you can use that knowledge or experience or whatever, and you can have an online business that allows you to have personal freedom, to have financial abundance, to be able to give your gifts, to get out of, in many cases, a soul-sucking 9-to-5 job. So there was probably about 1,000 people in the audience, and the place was like lit up. The energy was incredible with these people that were getting switched on and going, oh my gosh, I could share, like I could have meaning, and I could have legacy, and I could have freedom. And most of them, their biggest currency was I could have impact, and I can have a business, and I can make money online, and I can serve people and all that kind of stuff. And I remember thinking, looking across the crowd at just the energy in this room, and these people were like passionate and open-hearted and wanted to like give. And I remember it got to a certain point when they were talking about the how do you do that. So we talked about the what you do and what's possible. And there was example after example after example of people just like you and I who are out there doing that. So everybody's inspired. And then I could almost hear the wheels come to a grinding halt when it's like, but now this room full of visionaries, as you call them, now we have to go from like possibility into like task. And yeah, and I remember thinking like, if there was somebody who had a skill set to take the magic that they have and turn that into systems and processes and whatever, because people who have sort of the mindset where it's like, I'm going to build this thing and I'm going to share these lessons, are not usually the same people that have the same skill set that can task management or tech or whatever. And I just remember thinking if there was somebody who could walk in that room that day, they would have a multi-million-dollar business. And also, I was watching some of these incredible gifts and I knew some of them were going to fall away. Most of them were going to fall away. And so then I heard the term integrator. And then I had the pleasure and the privilege of meeting you. In a really, really simplified way, can you talk about the difference between an integrator and a visionary, and how you scored and how you came to this, your backstory?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, in a quick way, so I started as an executive assistant when I was 18, just kind of fell into that role because I just really love helping people, and somebody needed help, just with communicating to their customers and to, even just keeping track of like little things, data entry stuff, and then ordering things on Amazon, all these different things. And I thought, oh, okay, that could be fun. And then I just started working for different entrepreneurs, embedded system software consultant, and a freelance writer, and all these different people as an executive assistant because I thought it was so interesting and I was learning so much. But I've always been somebody that has these big ideas also. So I have this like visionary instinct and these like big, bold ideas, and I want to create big change, and I want to have this nonprofit, and I want to do these big things. But over time, I started learning like, okay, I'm working with these people who are like me, who have a lot of them ADHD and like shiny object syndrome and busy brain syndrome and all these different things that are like, things aren't getting completely done, or they're losing focus and momentum because there's no systems in place. There's no processes documented. There's not the same way to do things every single time. So there's a lot of things getting in their way, and they're doing things just because it's fast for them to do them. But now they're getting blocked because they're like, well, it's really quick for me to just check my email real quick and then respond to this customer real quick. Or or even like, oh, I just have a quick question for this person. I'll just go ahead and message them real quick just while it's on my mind, because otherwise it'll be gone. And so they didn't realize how much they were stopping. And so I'm just seeing that on the outside, as an executive assistant for these people. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's got to be better ways and better systems in place that we can, get more things done. So I started just kind of creating these system processes for myself to manage all these like things, and then created kind of some focus filters for the people I was working with, because I've always thought in that like strategic way of like, whoa, like this seems like it might be a problem eventually. Then I started eventually, fast forward, I worked for Stu McLaren for a little bit as his executive assistant while his assistant Summer went on maternity leave. And then I helped Bree with executive marketing support. And then I helped Jamie Bright. So these are all, names in the membership world and mastermind world. And I ended up helping Jamie, and Jamie is such a good integrator. She is so strategic with what she does. She's an incredible leader. And she helped me start creating SOPs. And so working under her for 2 years, I was creating, I think I created like 100 SOPs. We would just document everything we were doing. And, I was able to hire and train customer support, and we were able to get like content people in and agencies in, and just like, because we were focusing on processes and not people, it was really easy to train and to know where things were, where the gaps were. So she was like the process guru for me. And then I started working for Levi, who does Tony's Acoustic Challenge. And I started as a community director, and I was like, we need more processes in place. And so I ended up actually getting into operations, and then I became head of operations for Tony's Acoustic Challenge. And what he taught me, he was my guru for simplicity, because everything could be more simple. He'd be like, could this be more simple? Could we have less people doing this? Like, what is the main thing? And so I just thought, like, with these gurus, and Stu taught me the main thing is keep the main thing the main thing. So I like took these little tidbits of information from these people and started creating kind of the time rich method. And so in 2019, I launched a course for how to utilize a virtual assistant, because I'd been, an assistant for so long. And what I noticed was that people they'd hire an assistant and they would just be like, figure out what to do. And I'm like, whoa, 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 this is so inefficient. So I started helping them create systems for delegation and for onboarding somebody in a way. Like if you're teaching somebody how to juggle, you don't give them 5 balls, you give them 1 ball at a time and help them juggle that ball and drop that ball and teach them how to do that. And then you give them another one. And so just kind of like helping people outsource became a big passion of mine. And then I realized that people were outsourcing things that they didn't even need to be outsourcing. Like, why are you outsourcing this thing that's like so distracting from your main thing? So first, maybe we need to eliminate things. And then I started learning different systems for automation. And I was like, whoa, like we don't even need to be outsourcing XYZ. We could actually be automating. So then I created systems for, okay, now we look at how we're spending our time and we figure out first and foremost what we can eliminate, then what we can automate, and then what we can delegate. So that kind of became a mantra for me. So I was doing integration full time for different companies. And then in the last year, I thought, I want to be working less and making more. And what am I really, really gifted at? And how can I do this to as many people or for as many people as possible to have the biggest impact on different businesses that really, like you said, there's so many incredible people that really want to have a voice and really want to make an impact. How can I help these people, really expand their impact? So I started doing just like 5 to 10 hours a week with different clients for about 3 months to help them with foundational integration, creating these systems, processes for elimination, automation, delegation, accountability, and focus. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I got into this. And I scored, there's this assessment that you can take called the Visionary Integrator Assessment. And I scored an 81. So I know that I have a lot of integration, that strategy, the strategic doer, and I have a lot of the visionary, that the big vision, that like the big idea person as well.
Well, that's a really unusual balance. That's what I call a hybrid. So it's like you have a brain that can work in this capacity or in that capacity, and that's actually quite rare. It's like the male and female energy, the practical, tactical, and then the dreamer. I feel like though that makes you an even more powerful integrator, given that you understand what it is to be a visionary and just the emotional pull that you can't let it go, and how easy it is to get sucked up into, this idea and that idea. And I mean, it's kind of like the blessing and the curse, right? It's like, you have all these incredible ideas that are potentially going to change the world, but it's like, you can't let any of them go. In writing, that's called killing your darlings. You're like, I don't want to kill any of my darlings. But at the same time, unless you start one thing and finish it and have some assistance with, like, to your point, the processes and how are we going to just get really down to the nuts and bolts. That is not my skill set by any means.
Yeah.
But we were talking earlier and you told me the story of how when you were 10 years old, you went to a bookstore. Can you tell us about the book?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I think about 10, I was pretty young. My sister took me to Barnes & Noble and she's like, just pick any book you want, on me, it's your birthday. And I was so excited. I love books. I love novels and personal development books. I always have, but I went right to the planners and journal section and I got this like planner for efficiency, and it like had time blocking and writing out your why and your main focus. And I like can still remember the black cover with the gold writing on the front. And I was just so excited. I brought it to my sister and I'm like, this is what I want. And she's like, are you okay? Like you're too young to be like thinking about how to be more efficient in your life. Like how much stuff do you have on your plate? But I just I've always gravitated towards like creating that like I want to be more efficient. I want to be more practical about how I'm spending my time. I want to understand like what matters and what really moves the needle.
Well, I love the second part of the story is you said that you didn't use it. And here's why.
Yes.
Here's what's really important. Here's why I brought that up, is because I think all of us have this vision of, it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to start a new diet. I'm just going to like do this thing perfectly. I'm just going to get a brand new notebook. So when I write it and it's perfect, and then you start to mess it up or whatever, and you're like, and it doesn't feel good. Right. And so being an integrator kind of lends itself to that in a way. It's sort of like taking that off somebody's plate, because this has happened to me personally so many times when I wanted to start something or have started something. And then when it gets to the grindy, overwhelming details, it's almost like it snuffs out your light. But what is even a bigger factor for these people who want to put something out into the world is that starts to create anxiety. And that starts to, after the anxiety, create a sense of being defeated, because almost always visionaries are also accomplished people. They've people that have earned the right to talk about the thing they're talking about. They've earned the right to teach people and lead people. And it's that like that gut-wrenching frustration that they can't birth their gifts. And it's almost like you're a doula for people's passion.
I love that. Yeah. So with the planner, right? It's like I had this excitement for the possibility of getting more done with my days, right? This frustration that you're talking about is something that, like I think we felt for most of our lives too. Like we always felt like we were like set out to accomplish something big. Even as a kid, I was like, I'm going to do something big, right? And I wanted so badly to figure out what that was and how to do it to the best of my ability. But then like when it comes to the practicality of it, the steps to get there, that's when it can feel so overwhelming, because you know the what and the why, but how do you get to that point? What are the actual steps for that? So I think I'm like a born visionary and a learned integrator. And so I think like you do it in baby ways, right? By really creating a filter for what is the main thing and the most important thing, because there are a million things, like you said, that you can do and that will change the world. But if you can't do one of them fully, it'll never come to fruition completely. And if you choose 15 main things, you have no main things. We all know that. But, having somebody that's like in your corner that's like, yes, you are brilliant. That is a brilliant idea. Let's put that on the docket for next quarter. That can be really helpful for creating that, like, not losing that momentum or not losing that excitement, that passion for like these great ideas that really could move the needle, but are distracting from the main thing that you're setting out to do right now. You can put that on the table like for next quarter. You can put that on the table for next year. There's no need to accomplish everything right now, because you can do anything, but you can't do everything right now. So really having that, you don't even need a person to do that. You could even just have this as like kind of a mantra, like, let's do less things better. Like that's my mantra, is like less things done better. And so that, to me, that's my background on my desktop, right? Like, because I do want to do all of the things. There are a million cool things to do, even helping entrepreneurs. Like there's so many cool things, like so many cool technologies and cool, opportunities for growing their business. But if we can do less things and do them better, that depth instead of, or that, depth instead of breadth, I think like that really makes the most impact. I think we know that. But when we have somebody in our corner that's like, that sounds amazing, but let's regain that focus. Or we have those systems in place that we know, okay, yes, I have a system in place. I have a process for where to put those ideas and when I go back to them, right? Then it creates this ease where it's like, I don't have to do it right now. I know what I am doing right now, and I know what the next steps are.
But also then you've parked your ideas, so you don't have that desperation of like, oh, I don't want to lose this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you are the perfect person to create this incredible holistic integrator agency. And I'll tell you why. Because you ride both sides of the rails. You, and in my experience with you, has been not only are you a genius integrator in keeping the main thing, and making confusing, messy things simple and organized, but you've also been there, done that, and you also understand the other side of it. It's almost like you're the secret weapon for the visionary, because you are also, in many ways, a coach for them, for the emotional side. I'm all about, what is the holistic approach to achievement? What is the holistic approach to telling your story, building a business, whatever that looks like? Because whatever we're building in the world is great. And oftentimes we will focus on that. And especially with integrators, because I notice that they're usually very practical, tactical, logical people. And you are too, but you're also a very emotionally intelligent person. And unless we can look after the human being that has to go out into the world and do the thing, the human being that maybe was bullied as a kid, or maybe does have scarcity mindset, or maybe is, you know, fearful to be seen fully, or whatever that looks like, right? Like there is a person that has to be on the front end of getting these things out into the world. And the beautiful thing and the unique thing about the way you do what you do is you can provide all the practical, tactical integrator skills. That's great, keeps people in their zone of genius, but you also provide a holistic whole hand holding to the person that needs to be able to be shored up. Because oftentimes saying, here are your tasks, you got to get them done, is necessary for sure. But that approach is usually the opposite of productive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is that need for both. Like when I'm visualizing this agency that I want to build, I really want it to be like a wholehearted approach as well as a holistic approach, right? So even before my calls, and I think it's a little woo, but like I really do set intentions, and I really do want to. I think these people bring joy to others and have a big impact on the world, and they bring these like positive transformations. Like my clients now, I love them. They are so great. And every time I get off a call with them, I feel energized. And I know that the people that they work with feel the same way. And that's why they gravitate towards them. So, you know, what can we do to bring that entrepreneur more joy, but also more efficiency and more practicality? And shift that mindset into like, how can this get done? Who can be doing that? And so it starts slowly, but usually what I do is one of my first hires with the clients that I work for is almost always a VA, because it starts shifting that mindset. So it might not be the end all be all for who needs to get things done off of their plate, but it can really start opening that door of delegation, where they're thinking about, you know, oh, this email that I'm sending, do I have to be doing this? So one of the big things that I like to remind people is that, like, you're the pilot, right? You are the pilot of this plane, and you are setting the trajectory, and everybody's getting on this plane because you know where this is going. But if you start serving the coffee, people are like, who is flying this plane? Like, why is the pilot flying or serving me coffee? So you need to figure out who is serving the coffee, so that you're not back there serving the coffee to all your customers. You're the one flying the plane, and you're on the trajectory. You're the reason people got on the plane. They're going to get off the plane if the pilot's always serving the coffee, right? Because the trajectory is now anywhere, you know? And so this, I just want to say, like, maybe going off of this analogy, the integrator can help you as a co-pilot there. Helping you, you know, run the crew and figure out who can serve the coffee and how the coffee gets served, and so that you can focus on flying the plane.
So powerful. I know that when people first realize that they can use their knowledge or their gifts or whatever, and they can create, in many cases, an extremely lucrative business and living, making an impact and a difference in the world, the first thing they feel is that sense of hope, right? And it's like, oh, you know, I don't have to have a soul-sucking job. I can actually do this thing. And it's beautiful to watch that realization wash across their face. The other thing I see happening, and what I wanted to say is, it's just such a brilliant investment if you are ready to actually make your business a thing, investing in an integrator, because usually what happens is they feel that hope, and then kicks in the overwhelm. And so you know, it's like you feel that hope, it feels amazing, you're gonna do this thing in the world, and then it starts to get hard and heavy and overwhelming and yucky, and then they're looking for the next silver bullet, like, you know, and there's so many online gurus who are teaching marketing and this and that and the other, and it's like the 10 of this and the 4 of that, and what happens is people end up hemorrhaging money, going, well, I'm just going to buy this, I'm just going to do this, I'm just going to do the other thing. And if that money were instead pivoted to an actual solution so that they can stay in their zone of genius. Because the truth is, you don't need more tips or tools or tech or training. What you need is to put your nose down, lock arms with somebody like you, and create a transformation, not just for yourself and your business, but most importantly, for the people who are waiting to find you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like there isn't a big knowledge gap a lot of times, right? Like there's, you know what you have to do. You know there's a million things you can do. There's a course you can launch or a membership you can do or a mastermind, or you can do one-on-one coaching. You know like even how to build your list or all these things, but it's like, okay, now what are the steps and who's implementing them? And are you implementing them, and are you doing them consistently, and are you doing them regularly, and are you focusing on the main thing? Are you getting distracted by, the exciting thing when everything's become a little bit more monotonous, or there is drudgery. There's always drudgery in business, right? We know that. We knew that going into it. But when it comes down to like sitting there and creating this funnel or creating this sequence, and then it got hard because you're like, how do I even add, the old people that were signed up to this new sequence? Or, like now I have to like create all these reels. That's easy. Like I could be on camera creating them, but now what? Like how do I have to schedule them out? Like, am I reformatting them? Do I have to like, now that I've created this Facebook Live, do I have to download it and upload it to YouTube or upload it to my course, or all these things that like, you have to do, but now that they became hard, you drop the ball, right? Or, like checking in every quarter, or who's looking at your metrics, and are you aware of your churn rate? And, it's drudgery to look at these things, but if you have somebody that's reporting them to you and you know what the main 5 numbers are, you feel so much better. You feel like my business is on track. And if you don't know where your business should be going, you don't know if you're on track or off track. So getting that focus filter to know like where you want to go and what your deliverables are and how often you have to deliver them on what platform and how they can be repurposed. Building this plan and then checking in with this plan creates so much ease. So it's hard at first, right? It's hard to build a project management software. Like that's not a thing that most entrepreneurs love doing. They don't love having to-do lists anywhere or tracking what their team is working on or any of that. But if you build the automations and the foundation so that when you're checking in and what's being discussed when you're checking in with them, and how often you need to have these rhythms in place, it creates so much ease. So there's that upfront investment where maybe you're assigned action items to do them by a deadline, and then they're done, and there's so much ease that then follows.
I was the worst student in high school for doing homework, the absolute worst. I spent all of my time procrastinating, and I always got to the point where it's like it was feet to the fire. I had to get it done. And every single time it was never as bad as I thought it was. The worry and the dread and the procrastinating was 10 times worse. But I always use this analogy. Like if you are a messenger and you have a gift or something that you want to give the world, and you're like, oh, this is going to be amazing. This is going to inspire people. This is going to change people's lives. And then you're told, okay, you can drive across the country and deliver this message, but first you need to build the car. Well, we're all smart people. We can go, okay, park my message for a second. I got to go head down into like mechanics. And we're smart people. We can figure out how like alternators work. And 3 years later, we've built this car and we're like, okay, I got it. But your spark, that spark for your original message, the reason you built the car in the first place no longer exists, because you had to go outside of your gift to go into a zone that wasn't yours so that you were able to give the original gift. I think you are the gift in this equation. And I just wanted to thank you for hanging out with us.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad. And I honestly think it's like, it's not you have to build the car, it's you have to have a car built, right? And you do have knowledge for what kind of car would attract the attention, or you have the knowledge about what motor goes in the car or whatever, but then you have to hire the right people, or create the right things that like automations and different things that then build the car for you, because then it takes it from 3 years to 3 months to have that car built, because you have the right people and processes in place to get you going, the right fuel.
Yeah.
And your spark plug is still there.
Yeah.
Because the whole time you were telling everybody that you're hiring what the vision is, and you're getting more and more excited because these people are excited about your vision, and they're helping you. And it's like, it's an exciting process building the car now, instead of you trudging through it, putting in part after part.
Absolutely, especially, you know, when doing that is not your zone. You can hand that off to somebody else and you can focus on, to your point, making the main thing the main thing.
Main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing.
If people are looking for you online, where is the best place they can find you, and how does it look, or what does it look like to work with you?
So you can go to thetimrich.com, and I have a little landing page there. And for right now, you can just book a call with me and we can just discuss what your needs are. Right now, I do have a waiting list that, is set for, I think August is when I could take on new clients. But in the meantime, I also am happy to provide resources for people, walk you through the time rich exercise of documenting how you're spending your time, what can be automated, eliminated, delegated. And then, like I said, I'm also training. I just hired my first integrator for myself. I'm training integrators as well to utilize the time rich methods and the tech stack that I've created over the last 12 years of working with entrepreneurs. A business in a box, maybe you might say, Shelley. As a year ago, you said I should build. And so,
Stand by that.
yep, and that's Shelley's idea. So I have all these things that I will be creating and dripping out. So make sure that you find me, follow me, and just interact with me. I would love to connect with whoever wants to hear. It's such a gift to have people reach out to me. It really, truly feels like a gift. So please don't ever feel like, you're bothering or anything. Just reach out anytime. And I'm on Instagram, Summer Slevin as well, or whatever. So if you just want to be friends, I'm happy to be friends too.
Right. Well, we'll put all that in the show notes. Thank you so much for stopping by. And we all appreciate the work that you're making possible for all of us in the world. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.